welcome back to this account. This is episode 3 actually, and this was where we stopped, and this is that position that I placed. The position did not actually trigger, so this was a missed entry, and you can see when I said cancel. So let me go to, I have already gone to my MetaTrader 5, and these are the trades I have taken so far since our last update. Now this is a BTC sell. The first trade here was a BTC sell. Now let me go to the BTC sell. So this was the BTC sell. Actually, I placed this limit order on 29th of March, and you can see when the order got triggered here. Look at what I wrote here. I said triggered, and look at when it hit SA. Actually, this was a valid OB for me, but it didn't go well. So BTC did not, or that resistance level did not hold. So the first trade was SL, which was this BTC sell. So let's go to the second trade. Now the second trade is GBPUSD. Like I said before that I added GBP, and I added 3 more pairs, but that's bygone because I've already removed the three pairs that I added and only focusing on GTC and gold. So but this was the trade I took on a GBPUSD, and it was also a loss. So trade number 1 was a loss, number 2 was also a loss. Now let's go to number 2 trade. Now here is the number 2 trade. Look at it here. I saw this and I say this is a valid OB, and I just placed this limit order. Actually this price came all the way up at first. Look at it, it came all the way up at first, but did not trigger me, and I said that can be inducement, so I still had the limit order placed. But what happened was something else, as it just came straight and took me out. Look at it here. So trade number 2 was also SL. Now let's go to trade number 3. Now on trade number 3, this is gold buy, and this trade happened to be a break even. Now let's go to the gold buy. Before the gold buy, this was my account balance as of trade number 3. Sorry, after the trade number 2, this was my account balance 9793. So let's go to trade number 3 now. Look at when I said I've removed the other pairs, because I was just getting SA from GBP, Euro, USD, and the rest. So I just had to remove those pairs so I don't get myself confused. And look at what I wrote here. I have removed those recent pairs from my watch list. Learned the hard way, bro. So the trade number 2 was a BTC, number 3, sorry. The trade number 3 was gold buy, and this was when I placed the limit order for the gold buy. I said limit order placed successfully, and this did not trigger until April 6th, and I said triggered and moved to B. Let's look for a better entry. Now this triggered and I moved it to B because of silly mistake. Actually, I blamed myself a lot for moving this trade to B without even taking partials, or without the trade moving. The trade did not even move at all before I moved to B, and this was what happened. When the trade later moved to my initial target, look at what I wrote here. I foolishly moved this to B, and it hit me out simply because of what our so-called Dolos posted. This was a perfect OB for me, and I was nervous to close also because I thought the perfect entry would be at the other OB below. Anyways, I'm not gonna jump in. The mistake has been made. I will just be watching closely. Now, this was a very big mistake that I regretted. This actually took me days to go over this type of mistake. Now, the reason why I moved this trade to B before I even start moving was because I saw some posts on X. You understand? I saw some posts on X and I was like I don't even trust my own edge again. Now it is like that anyway. I still understand it's part of the process. So, and I later regretted it. Actually, I regretted it. Like, look at what I wrote here. I foolishly moved this to B. I regretted it to the core. But that's by the way. This one is gone and I am not going to make this kind of mistake again. So help me God. So this is trade number 3. It was a break-even trade. Now let's go to trade number 4. So trade number 4 was TSL. This was a gold buy. Now let's go to the gold buy. So after I ran away from getting SL from here, which turned out not to be SL anyway, I still later got the SL. I did not actually miss this SL. So this is trade number 4. After what happened, I said I was not going to jump right in, and look at how the price moved. Look at how the price moved before reversing, and after the reversal it was actually retracing because it's actually retraced. This was not actually a reversal. It retraced and I saw my OB and I just placed the limit order, and this was what I wrote, have this placed. But what happened was that the price slashed down and took me out. Alright, so this was a loss. I lost this one. This was a SL. So trade number 4 was SL. Now let's go to trade number 5. Guys, trade number 5 was also SL, and this was BTC. Now let's go to the trade. Before we go to trade number 5, after the trade number 4, look at my account balance. It was 9,744. So, and look at what I wrote here. Honestly, down with heavy percentages. So here is the trade number 5. I saw this OB and I said that is my OB, but there's something wrong with this very OB. There was something wrong with this OB. Now after this break of structure, this is a 1 hour chart. Look at this break of structure here. Look that the OB I took this price from was actually inducement. Actually, when I was taking this price, I did consider this very OB. Yes, I did, but I said let this guy be the inducement since price has already broken structure here again. So I said let this one be the inducement and let me take this price from here. But I was wrong. There's something I learned about BTC. BTC normally use the OB that created MSS to push price, and this was what actually happened here. This was the OB that created MSS, this very one, and it's a valid OB. This OB is even more valid than this very one. The reason is because look at this OB. This OB has FVG, a very good FVG here, and this one doesn't have. I can't find any FVG here, or it is a very tiny FVG. But look at this one here. Actually, price later respected this very one after taking me for liquidity. So this was SL, Look at when price triggered here and just took me out instantly. So be patient, this boy. This was when I said I was actually supposed to wait for price to drop down, because I was waiting for price to there was a POI below that I was supposed to wait for price. Now that's why I wrote be patient, this boy. But you will not hear. So the trade number 5 also happened to be SL. Now let's go to trade number 6 and look at my account balance after the trade number 5. Guys, this time around I was just very down. Now look at this, 9,698. So this is actually more than 3%. So, and the total percent I'm supposed to lose on this account is 8%. So I just had 4.something% left. Well, this was the trade number 5 and it was SL. So let's go to trade number 6. Trade number 6, you can see that it was a gold buy. Now let's go to the gold buy and check how we won that trade. So this was the trade. This was the setup. Actually, I had this setup, and look at what I wrote. OB remains present on the 4 hour. Okay, let's start from here. OB is present on the 4 hour. OB remains present on the 4 hour as price actually broke structure to the upside. Will be setting limit order on this position as soon as market opens to target the 48.66 levels. But guess what? I did not set the limit order. Rather, I had to wait for confirmation. Now, waiting for confirmation, look at what I wrote here. When price dropped to my POI, this was the POI I was just waiting for, a liquidity sweep and MSS. Now this SSS down is the liquidity that wants to be swept, and the MSS above is the MSS I am looking for market structure shift to take my trade. Now look at what I wrote here. Okay, I just dropped this. I was just watching this to happen before I entered the trade. And look at what happened here. Actually, I slept off. Yes, I did slept off this time. But on my waking up, I just saw that it has already swept liquidity. Now, this did not actually sweep liquidity here, but on MT5, it actually swept liquidity, then gave me MSS. I say this is exactly what I am looking for. There's no way I am not going to enter this trade. But my SL has to be on the overall invalidation point. Now the overall invalidation point was still that very SL from the limit order I was supposed to place. So I had to enter this trade here, placing my SL on that overall invalidation point. And the rest was history. Now look at what I wrote here. There was SSS on MT5. I'm already in. And look at the position here. So this trade ran and was a 1. And look at when the trade was moving. I see SL now at 46.40. So can't take partials on this because it's a 0.01 lot. Now because the SL was big and the lot was just a 0.01, so this was a 1. I hit TP on this trade, and this was it. Look at the TP here, and I just said TP here. Look at it. And this number 6th trade was a 1. Now to number 7th trade, which happened to be SL. Now the 7th trade was a good buy also. Now what happened on the other trade that that was a winning trade? I tried to replicate the same thing here, but it did not work. Now what I did here was I was just waiting for confirmation. I had a POI, I had a 1 hour POI, and I was just waiting for confirmation on 5 minutes. Now this is what happened. This black line was actually the mitigation of that 1 hour OB that I marked as my POI. Now it mitigated, and I considered this as a liquidity sweep before this very MSS. Now look at the MSS here, and I just said if price should come down here, I want to be part of the buys, I want to enter. So even though this is the OB that I'm supposed to place my limit order from, but this is not my favorite OB. So I said instead of price to move and leave me, I want to buy from here. Now look at when I place the limit order, and look at what happened. It's triggered actually at first, and I was like this is a sniper entry, but later came back to SL using me as liquidity. Now I was swept as liquidity, and price later came back to that very other block that I used to buy. Now look at that mitigation here, look at that mitigation here, and look at when price returned back again to the OB to actually buy, and it did bought and went straight to TP. It did not even waste time before going straight to TP. So I think the lesson learned from this very one is waiting for price to actually fully mitigate the OB. Guys, there's nothing like a lesson learned here. Price just did its thing, because this was already a mitigation here, and I got a confirmation before I joined the buys. Look, this is a very nice confirmation. Look at that engulfing candle displacement. That's a very nice confirmation. So but it still went to SL. So trade number 7 was SL. Now let's go to trade number 8. Trade number 8, which happened to be a 1. It was a BTC buy. Now let's go to the trade. The trade number 7, look at what I wrote after the trade number 7 hit SL. Look at what I wrote. This very one, I said this was what I saw on 5 minutes. SSS, then MSS, the exact thing I needed to take the trade, and I placed my stop loss just below last low. Now this was another mistake. I think this was the mistake I actually made on that trade. My SL was supposed to be on the overall below the overall invalidation point. Yes, and I did not place it below the overall invalidation point, and that's why I got stopped out, because the trade was supposed to be a 1. Now if I had placed the SL on the overall invalidation point, the RR wouldn't have been 2. It wouldn't have been up to 2, and that would have made me not to take the trade. So let me say that I was just eager to take this trade because I got my confirmation. So look at what I wrote. With the new method I am trying to catch up with, I am supposed to use the very first position for my stop loss, as that's the trade overall invalidation points. I tried considering it then, but the trade was not going to be up to 2 RR. So overall, I shouldn't have entered this trade in the first place, because the OB present in the 1 hour was not even my favorite. So that was it. Let's just go to trade number 8, which happened to be a 1. Now I saw this trade on the daily, I got it from the daily. I said have placed this on 30, okay, and waiting for confirmation on 10k accounts. I had to wait for confirmation on this 10k accounts. And look at the 1 hour. The 1 hour gave me more confidence that this was going to hold. Now this was when I got the confirmation here. Now price came to my POI and I was just waiting for two things to happen. Now what are the two things? I wanted MSS and I wanted SSS. Now the SSS is this very one. I just wanted a liquidity sweep, then a market structure shift to the upside. Now guys, this happened, and if I did not take this trade from here, I would have missed out, and missing out will leave this OB unmitigated, which means if price should come back here again, I am still going to take a buy from here. All right, because this is a valid OB that has not been mitigated. Actually, this OB did not mitigate even on 1 hour, because this is 30 minutes. Now I took this trade from here because I already saw what I was looking for or what I was waiting for, and the rest was history. So I say this setup are too clean for me to ignore, and of course I entered, and this confirmation came in the morning around 1:51. You can see the gold. Let me check the gold confirmation, the time the gold confirmation came. Now here is the gold confirmation. The gold confirmation came around 1:08. Now this was during market open. All right, so even the BTC was during market open. So I think around 12:01 I am supposed to be awake if I am waiting for any POI to get mitigated, because I have just gotten two out of this, which is BTC and gold, and it happened to be almost the same time. So, and the trade happened to be a winning trade. So the BTC was also a 1, and this was the position here. Look at the position here, and I said in on 10k account and today account. I was not actually in on today account because the today account was this very one here. It didn't get mitigated before going to take profit. Now my take profit was supposed to be the nearest draw on liquidity, but I put the take profit at 80k. All right, that's just our psychological number, instead of putting it on the nearest draw on liquidity, which is around this 17, this black line here, around this 79,200. So but it actually was a 1, and this was when the trade was going well, and I said partials taken and already moved to B, and this was the nearest drawn liquidity, which is around 78,400. So I had to close the trade manually after this liquidity was taken. I did not wait for it to go to that 79k or even 80k. So I have to close it manually here, and I said I have taken profit on the 10k account, and look at it here. And then my account balance was brought back to 10k, was brought back to break even with a $20 profit. So trade number 8 was a 1, and we go to trade number 9, which is this $15 here. Now this trade number 9, what would I call this? Well, a one or a break even? I will call it a break even trade. And the reason why this is just $15 was because I had to close the trade, as I was just I lost confidence in the trade and I had to close it. Now let's go to the trade, which is trade number 9. So originally I was waiting for price to mitigate this POI, but when price mitigated this POI, I was asleep, and you can see that the time it mitigated was 2:44. That was still midnight. So I was asleep and I did not enter this trade from here. So when I saw this, I said, okay, I will join the buys if this should come down to this FVG. Now this is a 15-minute FVG, and I just had to place my SL below this guy. So normally how I am supposed to do this is OB and my SL is supposed to be below the overall invalidation points. Now this SL I placed here was not supposed to be here, so there was so much discomfort on this very trade, and I was just monitoring it closely. Now I say limit order placed, and look at when it got triggered. I say tagged, and the trade was just run. This was a Monday. I said nothing is sweeter than having this on a Monday morning, and look at what I was having then. The BTC trade and the gold trade, they were just running in profits, and I was happy. So the reason why I closed that at $15 was because of this. I saw this on 4 hour. Now look at this. Price just created this OB here. This very OB here. Let me quickly show you this OB here. Draw this very OB here. You can see that OB, that other block here. So that's the OB. Price quickly created that OB, and I said, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. I just had to close the trade. I said, I have just closed gold. Look at it. I said I've just closed, and that was how I got that $15 out of that trade. But then I was still willing to buy if price should still come back down to this dotted line, or even this black line, or this red line. So those were the points I was waiting for price to drop before I joined the buy again. Of course it did drop, and look at it. Price dropped here, and I had to place this limit order again, placing my SL here, and I was kind of comfortable when I placed this one. But then something else happened. Look at what I wrote here. Limit order placed successfully. I am more comfortable with this as the daily OB threshold has been mitigated. Now this actually got triggered, and let me show you. Before it got triggered, look at what I wrote here. Look at what I wrote here. Had to drop the entry to OB so I don't regret when I get stopped taking from FVG. Meanwhile, if I am online and get confirmation on the FVG, will enter. Now I had to drop the other limit order and use the OB instead. Alright, so this was when it was coming down, and I said I am in on gold now. If I get stopped, then the lower price, if I get stopped, then the lower price to 4,600 have started. Now this was a target I had on daily, that if price should take me out, then I'll be expecting price to go down to 4,006. All right, so and look at what happened here. Price was just going down. Look at what I wrote: closed this at B as projections kept pointing down. Price was just going down, creating this OB here, and dropping. So I was just like that we have started that downward movement that is supposed to go to 4,006, and that was actually the 10th trade. So the 10th trade also was a break-even trade, as I had to close it on break-even. So overall the total trade was 10, and the loss was 1 2 3 4 5. This was 5 losses: 2 1 and 3 break-even. Now I still came out with a $131 profit. So overall this is the account balance right now: $10,020. So I am now in profits. I'm in profits, and glory be to Jah. So that is how this is going. And please, if you noticed anything that I am getting wrong, you can correct me. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode. I pray that the next episode be a withdrawal episode. That's my prayer, by the way. Thank you.